Okay, guys, here we go. So you already did verified your identity, so we're good to go. You could still hear me okay? Is that right? Yay. Okay. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go over ethos, pathos, and logos. That's something that you've been working on already in your class, so it should help you um, with the rest of the course and your next project. So if you already have a commercial, you could go ahead and share it in the text box. If you haven't gotten one yet, you're going to need one when you do the exit ticket later, but you'll have time to do that, so don't stress. Okay, so we're going to be going over again rhetorical appeals. We'll be learning how authors appeal to ethos, pathos, and logos in order to really persuade their audiences. So let's see. Okay, so rhetoric. We use that word a lot. And if you watch the news, or especially if you're watching something that has a political agenda of some sort, they use the word rhetoric a lot. And what it means, it's the use of language in order to effectively persuade or to change people's opinions and or to influence their actions. So they're trying to get something from what they're saying. So they're trying to get something out of you. That's rhetoric. All right, Mary Estelle said the design of rhetoric is to remove those prejudices that lie in the way of truth, to reduce the passions to the government of reasons, to place our subject in a right light, and excite our hearers to a due consideration of it. So that's one way. And then Theodore Roosevelt, who we've read about this during this course so far, said that rhetoric is a poor substitute for action, and we have trusted only to rhetoric. If we are really to be a great nation, we must not merely talk, we must act big. So he's saying, don't just use words, like follow it up with some action. Okay, so the rhetoric triangle, or the rhetorical triangle, it uses all three things. So first we have this logos, we have a message. Is the argument logical and clear? And is there evidence to support the argument? So logo is all about being logical, having evidence, facts, statistics. Then we get to ethos. This is like more the writer and the speaker. They would ask the question, does the author establish credibility and trust? Does the author present credible evidence? And then the last one is pathos. And this is really the audience would ask, is the audience engaged emotionally? Does the author appeal to the audience's beliefs and values? So now you're really tugging at the heartstrings. All right, so let's start with ethos first. With ethos, we're trying to establish credibility and a sense of authority to gain the audience's trust. So some words that we're thinking of are like ethical, ethics. It looks like the word ethos, so it kind of helps you remember what it means. Um, when you see a commercial and they're using ethos, a lot of times, like if it's for, say, toothpaste, they'll use a dentist because you would think that they know a lot about toothpaste, so you want to automatically believe them. If it's about being cool, they might use a celebrity. Like, for example, tennis shoes. For a long time, Michael Jordan was on every tennis shoes commercial because if he would wear them, he jumps so high, then they must be good, right? So he was a good one. Can you think of another um, person that would automatically, when you see them in a commercial, have credibility for a product? Can you think of somebody? The guy from Subway. That's a really good example, Venus. He lost all that weight, and so they would show him and be like, Subway's super healthy because look at what was his name, like Jim or Jerry or something like that. Peyton Manning on the Papa John's commercial. That's another really good example. Good job, you guys. Okay, so here's an example. Say you've been sick for a couple of weeks and your symptoms keep getting worse and worse despite taking over-the-counter meds. You're starting to get really scared. What do? Do you A, go onto WebMD and and then try whatever leftover prescription meds you can find from like a friend or in your closet to use that treat symptoms that are similar? Yeah, I think you're right, Venus. I think it is Jared. Um, or B, do you see a doctor and then go to Walgreens to fill a new prescription? Which one do you do? B, yeah, obviously, you should do B. Some people would do A, but that's not the best choice. Okay, so B is the right answer. And the reason why is you go to a doctor because they're a credible source. They have some authority, they have your trust. That's what you would do. All right? When a trusted doctor gives you advice, you may not understand all the medical reasoning behind it, but you follow it anyway because you believe the doctor knows what they're talking about. Right? All right, so let's look and see if we could find the appeals to ethos in this paragraph, okay? So you're going to ask yourself four things. Why should I believe what the author has said or written? Why does the author present credible information? I'm sorry, how does the author present credible information? What education or experience does this person have on the topic? And what credible sources does the author cite? All right, so let's look. So this is a televised address given by Ronald Reagan in 1980, which is a really long time ago. That was actually the year I was born. Holy cow. Anyway, he was running for president against Jimmy Carter. So this is like a really important election at that time. It was a really big deal. So again, this was given by Ronald Reagan, and he said, "I'd like to speak to you for a few moments now, not as a candidate for the presidency, but as a citizen, a parent, in fact, a grandparent, who shares with you the deep and abiding hope for peace. I revere, as I know you do, the American tradition of free and reasoned discussion of our complex issues. That is why I have participated in 6 debates since I became a candidate for president, and that is why I have stated my willingness to engage President Carter in his first debate." Okay, what is he trying to do to establish your trust or to show that he is credible? This is hard. Okay, let me give you a little clue. It's in this first paragraph mainly. What does he do to try to gain your trust and let you know that he's credible? All right, let's see if you guys got it. I see you're typing hard, so I'm waiting on you. Yeah, he points out that he has experience being a citizen. He tries to relate with them and tell them that he's similar to them. He tries to show that he is like us, and yeah, and that he wants to see change, that he knows what it's like to be them. So he can do what we want because he knows what it's like to be like us. That's what he's trying to tell the reader. And that's how he's trying to be really give you that sense of trust with him. Good job, you guys. That was a hard one. All right, pathos is all about empathy and sympathy and your emotions and your beliefs and your experiences. They try to connect with the author. So the way I remember this one is it's pathos, but it's like the path to your heart. They're trying to find the path to your heart to take those heartstrings and like mess with them and get you to agree with them. That's how I see it. So there's a little example. All right. So the doorbell rings, and before you even think to look through the peephole, you're already opening the door. There stands the most adorable Girl Scout who you've ever seen, asking if you'll buy a box of Thin Mints. You look at your pantry, knowing full well you already have 8 boxes. You begin to say no, but then she says, please, I'm only a few boxes away from earning my badge, and my troop is going to donate all the proceeds to whatever cause. Um, some kind of cause you're desperately passionate about. The last 5 houses said no, please. You sigh and get your wallet. What techniques did she use to persuade you? So how did she tug at your heartstrings? How did she use pathos? Yeah, definitely uses some guilt by telling you that other people have already turned her down and showing how sad that made her. Yeah, it totally makes you feel guilty. For sure. What were you going to put, William? I think you had a good one. She's pleading in a way that you can't resist. Yeah, she's this cute little girl and she's like begging you. And then she tells you it's going to help her earn a badge. Of course, you can't say no. Great job, Venus. Yeah, you guys are both right. Great job. All right, here's another example of appealing to pathos. Again, you're going to ask yourself what part of the author's writing makes the audience experience strong feelings such as inspiration, sadness, happiness, anger, emotion. They just want some kind of emotion out of you, right? Does the author use any narratives or anecdotes to connect with the audience? Whew. All right. There can be no doubt about what is the major issue in this campaign concerning the question of peace. It is whether you believe Mr. Carter's words and deeds have brought the United States closer to or further away from the goal of peace based on confidence in the strength of our nation. As a presidential candidate 4 years ago, he said, it is imperative that the world know that we will meet obligations and commitments to our allies and that we will keep our nation strong. Did he keep his promise? That's the real peace issue in 1980, and that's an issue for you to decide. Has he kept our nation strong? Are you willing to risk 4 more years of what we have now? Has the registration and the possible draft of our sons and daughters contributed to your peace of mind? Is the world safer for you and your family? Okay, can you guys think of just one line in there or one comment that he made that you think was meant to tug at your heartstrings? See what you can find. Yeah, talking about our sons and daughters being drafted, that was a really big one. That for sure is going to impact people, right? That's going to make everyone emotional, the thought of that. Of course, your children as parents concerned. Absolutely, great job. All right, let's move on to the last one. Logos. Logos is appealing to logic and common sense using clear evidence and reasoning. So the words that we think of are logical and logic, which looks very similar to logos, so that's a way to remember it. Here's an example. Your best friend always texts while driving, and it scares the living daylights out of you. He swerves all over the road, and his reaction time is significantly slowed, because he's distracted. You've tried telling him how much you care about him, but he just shrugs it off, so the whole pathos is not working. Calm down. 5 seconds isn't going to kill me. You are overreacting. You decide to take a different approach and show him this. Distracted driving facts. I'm just going to read a couple. 18% of injury crashes in 2010. 40% of American teens say they have been in a car while the driver used a cell phone. Text messaging increases a crash risk 23 times. Headset cell phone use is not substantially safer than handheld use. So, in what ways does this image appeal to logic and common sense using clear evidence and reason? And why might an appeal to logos be more effective in persuading your friend than an appeal to logos? Do you guys have an answer to either of those questions? Why do you think that these facts might be more persuasive to your friend than being emotional about it? All right, when it talks about the amount of deaths, then it gets the person's attention. For sure. When you're like, this is true factual information, people have died. Yeah, that totally makes someone want to pay attention more. Great job, William. All right, identifying appeals to logos. So you're going to ask yourself again, how does the author convince the audience? What relevant evidence, proof, or facts or statistics is the author presenting? And is the author trying to persuade you with if-then statements? Oh, sorry, Venus, because it's all facts. It can be proven. They might not care how you feel, but when you show them the gruesome truth, it may scare them. Absolutely. Good point. All right, so here we go. The present administration has been unable to speak with one voice in foreign policy. This must change. My administration will restore leadership to U.S. foreign policy by organizing it in a more coherent way. An early priority will be to make structural changes in the foreign policy making machinery so that the Secretary of State will be the President's principal spokesman and advisor. The National Security Council will once again be the coordinator of the policy process. Its mission will be to assure that the President receives an orderly, balanced flow of information and analysis. The National Security Advisor will work closely in teamwork with the Secretary of State and the other members of the Council. All right, do you see anything in there that is logical or evidence of what they're saying or proof? This one's hard. Yeah, they're definitely trying to talk about making policy changes. Um, and he's talking about some of the things that have gone wrong and why there needs to be these changes. That's kind of his evidence when he goes through and says how it hasn't worked in the past, and so this is why we need to make the change. But there's not really like statistics or real clear evidence, but it's definitely in there. So that makes this one kind of a hard question. All right, guys, you are all done. You're going to go online and fill out your exit ticket. You're going to use your TV commercial and go ahead and look at what kind of rhetorical appeal it has, and then you'll add to the sentence. But all the questions are right on our website like we normally do, and you'll just use any commercial of your choosing to fill it out. Okay?